I've been living with my husband Vincent for a while now, and since he's blind, I got pretty comfortable around the house. I mean, comfortable enough that I often walked around in light clothes or sometimes no clothes at all. He'd always be sitting on the couch, quiet and composed, so it felt safe. But there was something odd that I couldn't ignore. His ears would turn red, sometimes even start bleeding for no reason. I thought it was strange, but I didn't think much of it until one day when I heard his inner thoughts. Yes, heard them. He was thinking about me, my waist, my legs, how I looked. It was like a voice in my head, clear as day. That's when I panicked. I rushed over and covered his mouth, heart pounding. But how was this possible? Wasn't he blind? Just as I was trying to process everything, my dad showed up. He had some good news. The company went bankrupt. As if that wasn't shocking enough, he casually dropped another bomb. I was being married off to the Wen family. The only son. Vincent. Yes, my Vincent, who supposedly went blind in a car accident. I was furious. How could I marry a blind man? I hadn't even lived my life yet. But my protests didn't matter. 3 days later, I was tied up and thrown into a wedding car. At the ceremony, the host asked Vincent if he wanted to marry me, and he said yes without hesitation. He looked like a movie star in his black suit, cold and distant. When it was my turn, I screamed that I didn't want to, but bodyguards quickly shut me up. The host just smiled politely like nothing happened. That night, I was tossed onto the marriage bed, still tied up. I cursed my father until I fell asleep out of exhaustion. Then I heard someone walk in. The sound of polished shoes echoed through the room. I woke up and shouted for help, but Vincent just stood there, brushing his sleeves like he owned the place. His voice was icy, sending chills down my spine. He approached me, and I realized something didn't add up. How was he walking so confidently without a cane? I begged him to let me go, offering to introduce him to my beautiful friend instead. He didn't respond right away. Instead, he leaned in close, his face just inches from mine. His eyes were pitch black, sightless, yet full of menace. He reminded me we were already married and that my father's debts needed to be paid. That hit hard. Without money, I'd have nowhere to go. My family wouldn't take me back. I realized then I had no choice. So I decided to play along, pretending to be eager to be his wife just for now. I set some ground rules. No touching, I sleep on the bed, he sleeps on the couch. He reluctantly agreed. The next morning, I woke up to find Vincent already gone. I wondered how he could work if he couldn't see. Then I noticed the temperature. It was 39 degrees Celsius. I searched everywhere for the AC remote, finally losing my temper and stripping down to my underwear. Frustrated, I fell asleep on the sofa. When I heard the front door open, I shouted not to turn on the lights because I wasn't dressed. But it was too late. Vincent flipped the switch. I panicked for a second before remembering he couldn't see anyway. Feeling smug, I stayed lying there. He came in looking slightly uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact. I teased him a bit, going barefoot and pressing close to his body. I even asked if I was pretty, placing his hand on my waist. His pupils contracted, his face turned red, and he mumbled that I was. I laughed it off, saying it was boring since he couldn't see. But then he said something confusing. Can't see. Who told you I can't see? My heart skipped a beat. Wait, he could see. I told him to get treatment for his eyes, but he didn't answer. I went upstairs to shower and decided not to wear anything afterward. After all, there were no cameras and he was supposed to be blind. I ran downstairs naked, complaining about the heat. Vincent sat silently on the couch, ears bright red. I reached out to shake him, and suddenly blood started flowing from his nose. Again I heard his thoughts. Should I tell my wife that my eyes are actually fine? My wife's waist looks really soft. I wonder what her legs feel like resting on my shoulders. Froze. That's when I realized I could hear his thoughts. And worse, he could see me. I stared at him suspiciously. Then, just to test, I asked what he was thinking. My wife looks cute when her eyes widen, his inner voice answered. I want to kiss her. I turned around abruptly and caught him sneaking a glance at my lips. This wasn't possible. We were strangers in an arranged marriage. Why was he looking at me like that? Then I remembered. He said his blindness had been cured. But why hide it? I packed a few things and tried to leave, but he stopped me with a hug. He asked gently if I was okay. His voice almost convincing. If I hadn't heard his thoughts, I might have believed him. His hands rested on my waist, and I stepped back nervously. He kept coming closer. Jenny, where are you going? You walk straighter than a zebra crossing. I snapped, backing into a corner like prey with nowhere to run. He smiled slightly. You're lying to me. No, I'm not. I stammered. My best friend just broke up with her boyfriend. I need to comfort her. But she's in Florence, he replied calmly. On vacation. Oh, her grandfather died. No, her dad is pregnant. Whatever, I just need to go. He tilted his head. Why lie to me? I'm not. I muttered, patting his shoulder awkwardly. There's just something I need to do. I'll be gone a couple of days. Fine, he sighed. I widened my eyes in shock and immediately grabbed my suitcase, rushing to the door. Dad, open up. I yelled, but no one answered. I realized he had changed the passcode. I couldn't even go back home. My phone wasn't working and none of my friends or relatives responded. I was completely alone. I dragged my suitcase and sat on the curb, defeated. No phone, no money, no hope. Eventually, I forgot my pride and wandered the streets. A little dog passed by, wagging its tail and carrying a plastic bag with bread. I called out, "Stop!" and it looked at me with innocent eyes. I felt guilty instantly. Then 10 seconds later, I was splitting the bread with the dog in my arms. This is all your fault, Vincent, I muttered between bites. Even my dad doesn't want me anymore. The dog licked my face like it was trying to comfort me. I pushed it away, but it snuggled back into my arms. Here I was, a fallen rich girl wandering the streets with no job prospects. I even considered getting arrested just to have food. Eventually, I found work as a waitress in a bar, and the scruffy little dog followed me everywhere. One night, I overheard some people whispering. Did you hear? Vincent's newlywed wife ran away. Yeah, he was furious. Why would she run? He's such a good guy. Maybe she couldn't handle it. Knowing Vincent, if they catch her, she'll be locked up at home. I shivered. Just then, someone walked in holding a photo of me, Vincent's people. I tried to sneak away, but a customer grabbed my arm. Where are our drinks, waiter? I panicked, kicked him and bolted out the door. Jenny. I recognized her. Someone shouted behind me. Quick, catch her. Vincent will reward us handsomely. Vincent! You scoundrel! I muttered under my breath as I sprinted toward the narrow stairway, heart pounding. It's all because of you, I thought bitterly, that I feel like a wanted criminal now. The tight, ill-fitting uniform from the bar was slowing me down. In desperation, I tore off the skirt and kept running down the stairs. But just as I turned a corner, a hand shot out, covering my mouth firmly. At the same time, I was yanked backward by someone strong. Caught you, came a low, rough voice in the dark emptiness of the stairwell. The sound sent chills through me. Before I could react, I found myself pulled tightly against a tall, warm body. Pressed so close I felt like I was being absorbed into his arms. Be good, he warned, his voice low. It'll hurt if you struggle. The next moment he kissed me, fiercely, almost punishingly. He bit my lip gently but firmly, silencing any protests I might have made. I was kissed into submission, unable to breathe properly. My hands, which had been trying to push him away, slowly relaxed at my sides, giving the appearance of surrender. Time seemed to freeze in that stairwell. All I could hear were our racing hearts, the soft sounds of lips meeting skin, and the quiet rustling of clothes shifting between us. Felt like punishment but also something else entirely. Vincent finally stopped, our noses almost touching. He was breathing heavily, and tears welled up in my eyes as I looked up at him. "It's all your fault," I sobbed. "My dad doesn't want me anymore." He lifted a hand and wiped the corner of my mouth calmly. "Well, blame me all you want," he said softly. "But now I have you." Hearing that, I snapped out of my haze. "Why did you kiss me?" I demanded, struggling to pull away and step back. "Your eyes were never really injured, were they? You lied to me." "Oh," Vincent replied, glancing at me with complete calm. "So you found out. You pervert," I yelled, suddenly remembering how exposed I had been to him. "So what?" he said simply, standing up straight and looking down at me. "We're married after all." "But I don't like you," protested. "It doesn't matter," he replied confidently. "You'll come to like me eventually." He walked up to me, squatting down and gently holding my chin. His dark eyes looked like deep lakes, unreadable and intense. Without a word, he loosened his tie from around his chest and wound it around my wrists. Then, without another word, he picked me up. "We're going home," he declared firmly. "Can I sit next to the driver?" I asked, trying to stay polite as I made one last attempt to create some distance. Even in the car, I was still held in his embrace. His scent surrounded me completely, overwhelming in its closeness. "No," he said, lowering his head and running his fingers through my hair. His lips began to descend again, as if to kiss me. I immediately turned my head away. "I sell my skills, not my body," I told him firmly, trying to assert myself. "Too bad," he replied, his tone oddly melancholy. He didn't try to kiss me again, though. I tried to listen for any signs of his thoughts. How come I couldn't hear them anymore? What is this man thinking? I wondered silently, lost in my own confusion. We arrived back at the house and Vincent carried me inside, princess style. He still hadn't let go. "Don't run off like that again," he said sternly when we got inside. "Don't mention my father to me," I shouted, growing angrier the more I thought about it. Am I even his real daughter anymore? Ever since my mom passed away, he'd been unbearable. And then he went and sold me to you. The more I thought about it, the more wronged I felt. I sobbed in frustration. And now I still have to compete with a dog for food. Vincent fell silent for a moment, as if he had something to say but decided against it. Instead, he pulled me into a hug. "It's okay," he whispered. "From now on, you can try to rely on me." "Rely on you?" I thought bitterly. I might as well rely on my little dog. At least he's not as twisted as you are. It seemed like there was no escaping this situation. I had been working as a waitress in a bar, wandering the streets with nowhere to go. But maybe staying at Vincent's wasn't such a bad idea. At least there would be food and shelter. I had made up my mind. If he wants to hug me, let him. If he wants to kiss me. Fell asleep. Being held by him was surprisingly comfortable. Before long I drifted off. As we kissed earlier, he had sat in a chair and casually pulled me onto his lap. I hooked my arms around his neck, and soon I was fast asleep. But in the middle of the night I woke up feeling hot. I realized the air conditioning in the master bedroom was broken. I'll just sleep on the floor, it'll be cooler, I thought to myself. After 10 seconds of lying on the hard floor, my back ached too much. I couldn't bear it anymore. I pushed open the door to the guest bedroom and was met with a cool breeze. "Ah, comfortable," I whispered. "Jenny," Vincent's voice called from the bed. He fumbled to turn on the bedside lamp. "What's wrong?" "Today I checked the app on my phone," I said quickly, "and it said the AC in the master bedroom is broken. Let's switch rooms. You go to the master bedroom." Before Vincent could object, I pushed him out and locked the door behind me. "Air conditioning, here I come," I whispered, relieved. But before I could celebrate for even 2 seconds, the locked door suddenly shook. I heard the unmistakable sound of a key turning in the lock. Before I could react, the door swung open and Vincent walked over to the bed. "Jenny," he called. I buried my head in the blanket, pretending to be half asleep. I'm tired. Stop fooling around. Go back to sleep, I muttered. The next moment, the bed sank slightly as he climbed in and wrapped his arms around me and the blanket. Roll over, he whispered. I struggled hard. How could I sleep with a man I barely liked? This was my bottom line. But as I continued to resist, I realized something. Wait a minute. This is actually quite comfortable. I lifted my legs and rested them on Vincent's waist, snuggling into his embrace like a doll. It felt incredibly secure, like I hadn't felt since I was 5 years old, right after my mom left. All right, I mumbled. Let's just hug for one night. And with that, I fell sound asleep, completely unaware of the smug smile spreading across Vincent's face in the darkness. I slept until 7 o'clock, and when I woke up, Vincent was already gone. I got out of bed and went outside to walk the dog, play with the cat, and even join an elderly man practicing Tai Chi. Girl, don't learn this from me, he chuckled. I'm afraid you'll hurt yourself. I was stretching stiffly, accidentally kicking over a railing. As I propped it back up, I suddenly noticed a familiar figure across the street. Tall, slender, dressed in a black windbreaker. He was smiling warmly and charmingly while chatting with an elderly lady by the roadside. But when he turned and saw me, his smile instantly disappeared. My heart raced. My feet moved on their own as I began to follow him. Alan, called out. The man reluctantly stopped and glanced at me coldly. What is it? He asked sharply. I clutched my clothes tightly, nervous but determined. How have you been recently? Yes. Thanks to you. Not bad, Alan replied, furrowing his brows and taking a step back. We haven't seen each other in a long time, I said, mustering up the courage. Can we have a meal together? Alan was the guy I had a crush on for 4 years. Unfortunately, he always liked someone else. After the college entrance exam, he once asked me to deliver a love letter to that girl. The next day I tried to explain, but she had already gone abroad. Somehow, Alan found out that I had a crush on him, and he destroyed the letter. If it weren't for you, Wendy would have stayed, Alan had once told me bitterly. Biting my nails nervously, I apologized again. I'm sorry, but I really didn't tear up that love letter. Enough, Alan interrupted coldly. We shouldn't see each other again. I stood there stunned. I was so stupid, I could only manage a week. I'm sorry. But my words did nothing to prove my innocence. Are you still holding a grudge against me? I asked quietly, panic rising inside me. Alan didn't respond to my dinner invitation. He just walked away. About that love letter. I began again. Don't bother. He cut me off, his voice cold. He turned to leave again. In desperation, I reached out and grabbed his hand. Alan, wait. He shook off my hand as if it disgusted him. I fell to the ground, and the man paused for only a moment, looking back at me coldly before walking away without another word. I sat there for a long time, tears stinging my eyes, until a familiar figure appeared in front of me. Are you hurt? Vincent asked, his frosty brows furrowed with concern as he squatted down and lifted me up, carrying me home. It wasn't until I was laid on the bed that I realized what had happened. Vincent, why aren't you at work? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He lowered his head gently, blowing on my scraped knee. I forgot my documents, he replied. Then he raised my foot onto his knee, his left hand holding it steady while he applied iodine with his right hand. If it hurts, you can scream, he said softly. Why didn't you ask your secretary to come back and get them? Yes. But Vincent didn't reply. He was focused on cleaning my wound, his movements impossibly gentle. I stared at him, my heart suddenly feeling bitter. Vincent, I whispered. I didn't destroy that love letter. Do you believe me? The man paused for a moment. I believe you, he finally said. Back in high school, Vincent and I had been classmates for a year. It was during that time that I had pursued Alan aggressively. One time I fell into the water and someone saved me, but they left before I could thank them. When I woke up, I searched everywhere to find out who it was. An old lady told me it seemed like it was Alan. From then on, I was deeply attracted to Alan's gentle, clean smile. Every morning I brought him breakfast secretly, writing his name on drinks just to see his reaction. Every time I did, my heart fluttered with excitement. But every time I was teased by his brother. Look at Jenny. What an ugly name. Alan had always seen me only as a friend. And things changed drastically after the love letter incident. We couldn't even remain friends. Lowering my head, I felt disappointed, wiping away tears that weren't even there. Vincent sighed softly and pulled me into a hug. Whispering Jenny, he murmured. Suddenly my phone rang. My best friend's frantic voice came through. Jenny, do you know your dad is in the hospital? My phone slipped from my hands, hitting the ground with a thud. My mind went blank. Vincent finally told me the truth. My father had late-stage stomach cancer. He didn't have much time left. With only a pampered daughter like me left, my father had entrusted me to Vincent, who he trusted more than anyone else. The company hadn't gone bankrupt. It was now temporarily under Vincent's management, almost like my dowry. When Vincent told me all of this, I was silent, too shocked to respond. It wasn't until I entered the hospital room and saw my father's surprised, helpless expression that reality started to sink in. I walked over with a forced smile. Dad, not eating properly got you here, didn't it? That night I found myself unable to sleep. I lay awake, staring into the darkness. Vincent was by my side, holding me close and kissing away my tears. Don't cry, he whispered. I'm here for you. He encouraged me to let the tears flow, saying my father deserved it. My father, the man who never found the right class to attend parent-teacher meetings, who once showed up in the wrong grade when I was in 11th grade. When he finally found the correct grade, he went to the wrong school altogether. If my mom were still around, I used to think my dad would scold him for it. On the day of my college entrance exam, he kept urging me to finish quickly, complaining that the parking fees were expensive. He told me not to worry whether I passed or not. He'd hand over the company to me anyway. Vincent hugged me tighter and whispered my name gently. Every time I woke up from a nightmare, Vincent was always there. He'd say, Jenny, I'm here. Pour me a cup of hot water, watch me drink it down, and then gently wipe the droplets from my lips before whispering, go to sleep, and pulling me back into his embrace. In the darkness, I watched Vincent as he slept peacefully. His brow was furrowed and his face looked tired, from running non-stop between the hospital and work. I started to wonder if my presence in his life was right or wrong. One day my dad asked, "How are you and Vincent getting along?" He was leaning against the head of the bed, eating an apple one had peeled for him. He looked genuinely curious. "I guess we're okay," I replied. "You two better hurry up and give me a grandchild," he said with a grin, handing me some peeled oranges. "How is that even possible?" I exclaimed, surprised. "I'm so beautiful, with good looks and a great personality. Suitors circle the globe twice a year just to chase after me." I stood up dramatically. "You have no idea, Dad. Vincent is so clingy. He's always afraid I might get kidnapped. He's constantly hugging and kissing me, it's really annoying. He doesn't know when to stop." Just as I finished ranting, I noticed my dad's amused expression. Sensing trouble, I turned around, and there he was. Vincent, arms crossed, calmly watching me. "Clingy. Always hugging and kissing you. Not knowing when to stop," he echoed, raising an eyebrow. I awkwardly chuckled. "I'm just messing with my dad." That night, when we got back home, Vincent held me down on the bed, kissing me as I laughingly protested. "I was just joking, Vincent. Let go." As my father's health gradually improved, he mentioned one day that if I genuinely didn't like Vincent, he could find someone else for me. I hesitated before replying, "Let's discuss it later." One day while picking up medicine, I ran into Alan. "Are you okay? Are you sick?" I hurriedly approached him, wanting to hold his arm, but he pulled away. Jenny, I don't want to say this a second time. My matters are none of your concern. Stop coming to me, Alan said coldly as he turned to leave. But just as he walked away, a hand suddenly pulled me back. Jenny, stay here, Vincent commanded as he strode up to us. He opened his phone and played a video in front of Alan, a surveillance footage he had asked our old class monitor to find. It showed Alan's close friends secretly rummaging through my bag and tearing up the love letter that had led to all the misunderstandings. Vincent reached out and put his arm around me. Jenny and I are already married, he said firmly. She came here to clarify the misunderstanding. If you don't believe it, then you're just a fool who's easily misled by others. Alan's whole body trembled. I believe you, he finally admitted as the truth, delayed for almost 10 years, dawned on him. Alan, I said softly, caught between relief and bitterness. I'm sorry, he stammered apologetically. His late apology felt so tiring. Let's still be friends, okay? Alan asked, his voice filled with regret. He tried to reach out to me, but Vincent pushed him away. I told you, we're already married. She's my wife now, Vincent added quietly. Then he turned to me. Let's go. I stared at Vincent in disbelief, my heart beating uncontrollably. When we got back home, the realization hit me. I turned to thank him. Thank you, I said quietly. No need, Vincent replied, glancing at me unexpectedly. Then, without warning, he pulled me close and lowered his head to kiss me. Consider it a gesture of appreciation, he whispered. I felt a sudden sting in my chest and quickly pushed him away. I'll go back to my room, I muttered, retreating. Oh no, I thought to myself later that night as I lay in bed. I think I've fallen for Vincent. I texted my best friend excitedly, sharing my thoughts. Sometimes he's so handsome and authoritative. But as I was typing, I saw a message pop up in a group chat with my name mentioned. My heart skipped a beat as I clicked on it. Wasn't Jenny the one who fell into the water before? Yeah. She said Alan saved her. The conversation continued, and my heart sank further. My grandma had seen Vincent at the hospital that day and mentioned that he was the one who saved a girl who had fallen into the water. Suddenly, everything became clear. A deep sense of absurdity and collapse filled me. I had liked Alan for 4 years, believing all along that he had been the one who saved me. But it had been a misunderstanding. It was always Vincent. How intertwined our destinies had been from the start. A wave of clarity swept over me. I realized that everything had been wrong. I had pursued the wrong person. In reality, it was Vincent who had been there all along. Could I now truly start liking Vincent? Absently holding a stuffed toy, I watched as Vincent walked out of the bathroom, fresh from his shower, shirtless. I stole glances at him, feeling awkward. If you want to look, just look openly, Vincent teased as he dried himself with a towel. He casually threw it into the laundry basket. Why peek when I'm right here, he added, smirking. I turned away without saying a word. Vincent climbed into bed and moved closer to me. Are you mad? He asked softly. No, I said, suddenly feeling restless. Why are you always so good to me? You're my wife, Vincent replied, hugging me from behind. After a long silence, I turned around and kissed his cheek. As I tried to pull away, the sound of his heavy breathing stopped me. He pulled me into a deeper kiss. Why are you so forward today? He asked, his voice low. Without a word, I turned around and straddled him. Don't speak. Just kiss me, I whispered. Vincent was taken aback. Jenny, he said softly. The air between us felt thick and heavy. Later, as I lay in the bathtub, I laughed and asked, Vincent, what did you eat to grow this big? He rubbed my head gently and replied in a soft voice. You. Chuckled. Dad, do you think if I tell Vincent this, he'll want to kill me? I asked my father during one of his better days. My dad laughed. How petty. Bring some fruit to visit your old man and tell him what's on your mind. I hesitated for a moment. Dad, actually, I was going to set up a marriage for you back then, I began. But Vincent intervened. He said he had secretly admired you for a long time. I was taken aback. What? When? My dad shrugged. He told me he'd had a crush on you since high school. He called you his little son, the one who brought positivity into his life. He sounded a bit formal, but I could tell he was sincere. He even promised to love you forever. My dad casually ate a banana as if he hadn't just dropped a bomb on me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But I trailed off, unsure of what to say. My heart felt like a soft, sour fruit, thick juice dripping down inside me. Secretly in love with me since high school. It all started when Vincent transferred to my school. I had been chasing after Alan at the time. Had Vincent seen it all along? How much must his heart have hurt? I rushed back home, waiting anxiously for Vincent to return. As soon as he walked through the door, I hugged him tightly. "What's wrong?" Vincent asked, confused. I didn't say anything for a long while, just held on to him. Finally I spoke. "I'm sorry for running away before and making you search for me for so long." Vincent smiled and patted my head. "It's not your fault. And I'm sorry for thinking that the person who saved me back then was Alan," I added. "Stop, Jenny," Vincent said, lowering his head and kissing me. "Look, we're together now. That's good enough. As for those years, those misunderstandings," he continued softly, "I don't think they matter anymore. It's okay," he whispered. "As long as you know that I love you." Just then, Alan showed up at the hospital, chasing after me to apologize and seek forgiveness. "I'm sorry, Jenny. It was all my misunderstanding. Can we still be friends?" Alan asked, standing in front of me with a bouquet of flowers, dressed similarly to how he had been back then, in a simple white shirt, smiling brightly. But now I just felt nauseous. "It's too late, Alan," I said firmly. "I'm already married. So no. Since back then you chose to cover your ears and not listen to any explanations, now that the truth is out, what's the point of uncovering your ears again?" asked him. Alan tried to come closer, reaching out to hug me. "I'm really sorry," I said, backing away, feeling dazed. Something I had longed to hear for so many years. "I'm sorry," was suddenly meaningless. "I'm married to Vincent. Don't look for me again," I said, my voice unwavering. "Jenny, your marriage to him is just an alliance. You can't possibly like him. You liked me for so many years before, right?" Alan asked, still trying to plead his case. "I've changed my mind now," I replied. "As long as you agree, I'll divorce Vincent and immediately marry you," I snapped back. "Who says I don't like Vincent? He's rich and kind. Sorry, you should go now." As I turned around, I noticed Vincent leaning against the car door nearby. I didn't know how long he had been listening. Our eyes met, and I quickly looked away. "What did you just say?" "Rich and kind," Vincent asked with a smirk. "What was that?" My face turned red in embarrassment. "Nothing. You misheard. Let's talk about it at home." My father's condition had stabilized by the second month. I brought him a report. A man nearing 60, seeing me pregnant brought tears to his eyes for the first time. I wanted to pick a name for him. "Let's call him Winnie," my father said, smiling through his tears. I remembered that Jenny must have been a name he picked for me. It sounded like a name that gave you strength even in winter. Vincent held me and said, "Jenny, let's name him Honey." Back in high school, after Vincent had finished playing basketball, he wiped the sweat off with his shirt and suddenly saw me smiling as I handed a bottle of water to Alan. Vincent had suddenly felt thirsty, but he refused all the water offered to him. If I wasn't given water, it was fine, he had thought at the time. Right before the Sports Day's 1000m race, I had handed Vincent back his number tag and waved, cheering him on. "Do your best. If you're too tired, don't push yourself. Take a break," I had said. Vincent had smiled. Everyone had told him to fight for first place and bring glory to the class, but unexpectedly, there had been someone who was simply considering his well-being. "All right," Vincent had said to himself as he stepped onto the track, glancing into the distance. The sunlight was just right. As he ran that race, Vincent had been lost in his own thoughts, realizing how small acts of kindness from me had left an impact on him. He remembered all the times I cheered him on, and in those moments I had unknowingly become someone important in his life. As the months passed, my pregnancy progressed, and Vincent's care for me deepened. He was always attentive, making sure I was comfortable and never lacking in anything. My father's condition had improved, and I visited him frequently. One day my father said, "You know, Jenny, I think Vincent is a good man. He really cares about you." I nodded, feeling warmth in my heart. "I know, Dad," I replied softly. Vincent and I had come a long way since the beginning of our arranged marriage. The awkwardness between us had faded, replaced by understanding and mutual respect. Though our journey had been anything but conventional, I realized that Vincent had always been there for me, even when I didn't notice. One night, as we lay in bed, Vincent pulled me close and kissed my forehead. "Jenny, do you still think about leaving me once your dad's company recovers?" he asked, his voice gentle but carrying an edge of vulnerability. I hesitated for a moment before replying, "I don't know." Vincent sighed softly, his arms tightening around me. "I hope you'll stay," he whispered. "Not because of the company, but because I've fallen for you, Jenny." His confession left me speechless. I had always seen Vincent as distant and cold, but over time, his true feelings had come through. Hearing him say he loved me made my heart swell with emotions I hadn't fully recognized before. "I think I've fallen for you too," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. Vincent smiled, kissing me softly in response. As the months passed, we continued to grow closer. Our bond became stronger with each passing day. Eventually, I realized that what had started as an arranged marriage had blossomed into something real, something meaningful. Vincent had been the one constant in my life, the one who had always cared, even when I hadn't seen it. And now, I couldn't imagine my life without him.